The Inanity Triangle returns in this follow-up to last November's New Moon, the second installment in Stephanie Meyer's Twilight Saga novels, adapted for the big screen. Edward Cullen, Bella Swan, and Jacob Black return, played respectively by Robert Pattinson, resembling James Dean with a bad case of dysentery, hunched over and squinting throughout the better part of 2 hours, Kristen Stewart, acting well below her ability and appearing to know it, and Taylor Lautner's airbrushed torso.
Doesn't he own a shirt?
It's a challenge to discern any real story arc for this film. Miss Meyer and the screenwriter, Melissa Rosenberg, seem to have one in mind, but it's executed as a subplot, or put so far toward the end of an unnecessarily lengthy film which clocks in at a glacial 124 minutes. Continents have drifted with greater speed. In Seattle, a young man exits a bar and is run down by a shadowy figure. We later learn that his name is Riley, a powerful vampire. Victoria, played by Bryce Dallas Howard, turns him to help recruit an army
Hold up. What damn army?
of undead bloodsuckers for a purpose I won't reveal.
They're after Bella? What the hell does this mean?
Not that it matters, it's so entirely out of left field that it might as well have been an army of circus midgets being trained to hijack a nearby Starbucks just for the hell of it. Otherwise, the story furnishes no revelations or character development that didn't already occur in the first 2 installments.
I was trying to protect you.
By lying to me.
The Volturi, of whom we newcomers to the franchise should be given an opportunity to learn more,
They enforce the law.
have an ambulatory handicap.
Others may begin to question the Volturi's effectiveness.
They can only walk from place to place in slow motion.
It looks cool.
This helps ensure that they'll always arrive at late... Damn it. Man. Megan. Stop laughing at me. This helps ensure that they'll arrive late to the scene of a throwdown. So what purpose do they serve exactly, other than to give Dakota Fanning the opportunity to show off acting skills that are only slightly better than Mr. Pattinson's dyspeptic lurching?
Either we let them do what they were created for, or we end them. Decisions.
Note to Anna Kendrick, by the way, who plays Bella's friend Jessica, you're an Academy Award nominee. You can be excused from this piece of shit. Furthering my hatred for Hollywood, yet another music video director recruited into the ranks of cinema, David Slade, has replaced Chris Weitz. Oh, my dog's fucking barking. Chris Weitz, who has moved on to better projects including Another Bullshit Night in Suck City, which should have been the title for this film. Mr. Slade, himself a music video alumnus, and it shows, made his feature debut directing Hard Candy. In my 2006 review, I noted that Mr. Slade hadn't thought through more complicated questions and deliberately painted his character psychologies in monochrome so as to justify the protagonist's vigilantism purely to inflate his intellectually worthless shock video. Oh my god. Man, are we still rolling? Shit. Alright. Here, Mr. Slade has an even easier task. As I've noted in my review of New Moon, there's no depth of character or story to work with. The actors, particularly Mr. Pattinson and Miss Stewart, seem like they'd rather be in any other movie.
I didn't know how Eclipse was going to go. It was not my favorite of the series.
When Bella says to her hapless father, "There's nothing I can say. Edward is in my life," her words possess all the emotional conviction of styrofoam. I'm also unsure of the motive behind the racial stereotypes. What racial stereotypes? Allow me to explain. The Cullen clan are like rich, chiseled Scandinavians living in obscenely expensive contemporary
Someone we
architecture.
know.
Stop fucking barking. Owing perhaps to the dynastic wealth from their immortality, they have lengthy dialogues concerning the destiny of vampires and mankind. The Black Clan are like the magic brown people, a sort of allegory to Native Americans who, like all indigenous peoples who weep when some garbage is strewn about the ground, are living in spiritual harmony. In other words, dilapidated accommodations in bumblefuck Washington. Being kept down by the man, no doubt.
Maybe we can get a break from Jake's obsessive inner monologue. Wish Bella would call.
Wish Bella wouldn't call.
Maybe I should call Bella.
Maybe I should call Bella and hang up.
Werewolves, they run around shirtless, yet mysteriously regain shorts when they transform back to human form. They fix motorcycles, they commune with nature, and have a tendency to get in fights. I've already beaten to death the notion that Bella, Edward, and Jacob's love triangle is a psychologically abusive, manipulative relationship, but the film goes right ahead and flogs this dead horse again and again.
Well, maybe rush a little bit.
Hey, beautiful.
Bella continues to play Edward and Jacob against one another, flip-flopping so frequently that she should run for office. Edward's refrain vacillates between indifferent rage and indifferent affection.
Today's easy.
He so lusts for Bella that he can barely contain his total lack of emotion.
Bouncing
Yeah,
off the walls and not be able to sleep.
no sperm count as well. After, like, if you use them every day for a year, like, you just don't
It'll be years before you can have children
yeah,
again.
you have no penis anymore. It just falls off.
Now, the bigger problem is that the abstinence parable injected into Miss Meyer's original story is so ham-fisted that Bella's ambivalence seems utterly preposterous. I can't really figure out what danger she's trying to avoid when her so-called protectors are willing to resort to brutal violence at every turn on her behalf.
Don't do this! She's not sure what she wants.
Don't do this
Let me
here.
give you a clue. Wait for her to say the words. Fine. And she will.
Rather than just dispatching her far away to a place where she need not be concerned. Seriously? Where she need not be concerned with the affairs of sparkling Nordics and shape-shifting Indians. Isn't it already evident that religious fundamentalism tends to prefer violence over sexuality? And if you bark one more time, seriously. Why did we need this series to tell us that? Well, okay, I guess from the eyes of a teenager, the movie comes off as being solely about unrequited love. The abstinence message might be going over the heads of these kids the abstinence message might be going over their heads with otherwise Seriously! The abstinence message. Isn't it, however, somewhat perverse that teenagers... Alright. Okay. The abstinence message might be going over their heads with otherwise transparent symbolism. Isn't it kind of perverse, though, that teenagers, with their already limited grasp of relationships, are confused into believing that Bella's pathetic mind games are what love is all about?
Why haven't you called me back?
I had nothing to say.
Well, I have tons. Hold on.
Hey. Oh.
Edward, you have to trust me.
I do trust you. It's him I don't trust.
Ultimately, the movie never coalesces because its actors are disinterested, its characters uninteresting, its relationships are forced and abusive, and its story fractured and unfocused. The film's narrative failure rests on the director's and writer's assumption of the audience's prior knowledge. But the core fans will go see this movie regardless of what critics or any other rational human beings, for that matter, tend to think of this color-graded celluloid turkey, which makes me want to drink. Maybe that's irrelevant given the film's low budget for a blockbuster, $65 million, relative to the gigantic fan base for Stephenie Meyer's novels. It'll turn a profit no matter what happens. Not that I care about numbers, nor should you. Taste and popularity are generally at odds with one another. The CG wolves are so terribly animated, I found myself drawing parallels to the Shudder... The CG wolves are so terribly animated in this movie... On a footnote, the CG wolves are so terribly animated in this movie, I found myself drawing parallels to the shudder-inducing phenomenon of furries. If you have to ask what they are, don't. You don't really want to know. If, on the other hand, you have to know, well, go to Wikipedia and search for furry fandom. Don't say I didn't warn you. Just don't ask about yiffing. Some things, once they're seen, can't be unseen. This movie, for example.